Hello, hello, hello. My name is Coach Tay, and I'm going to be creating a new series that I'll start out posting on YouTube, and hopefully it'll go on for an extended period of time. But basically, what I'm going to be doing is reviewing and analyzing some gameplay anywhere between the level of amateur to professional. And the hope of this is to ultimately teach whoever's listening and whoever's watching a thing or two, and hopefully a bit more than a thing or two when it comes to early game. So what's going to primarily happen is we're going to go over to draft, and then after draft is done, assess win conditions, look at where each side will want to try and place their pressure. Earlier on, we're talking about jungle pathing, we're talking about early game objectives, we're talking about lanes and how they want to conduct themselves. And then we might take a look at some stuff coming up into the mid to late game. But chances are we're going to leave that to a separate series. I'm talking about things primarily such as pressure, vision, tempo, stuff like that, and we're making a separate series. So again, this is just gonna be a quick. Let's go into draft, and then a quick first 10-ish minutes with some emphasis on maybe a few points here or there, because I might want to see how a draft and how a game plan might play out come into late game. But with that being said, quickly check as it's going. I haven't taken a look at any of these games, but I haven't really seen too much when it comes to the collegiate level meta. But I will want to start this series off with the collegiate championships for the 2021 season, as I'm going to be coaching for this upcoming season. So may as well get some intel on the team, right? Okay, so again, I haven't seen any of these games, but we'll begin with draft. No, that's not draft. Wait, did it already start?
So yesterday we saw.
Is this a start?
Yeah, we are.
No. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I don't know anything about the cover picks. We've already seen 3 of the bands, 6 of the bands, unfortunately. Okay, we're not even close to being where we want to be. Okay, well, we've already seen as much as this, so we'll just get into it right away. Okay, so again, I haven't seen any of the comfort picks when it comes to any of these players, so I don't know anything about any of these teams. All that I know is that there's a tad bit of a meta going on, and I don't know what the meta would look like. Again, these drafts, especially with the collegiate scene, it might be similar to the professional level, but obviously every single sort of league has its own meta. Okay.
This has been the GPN.
So we'll just start off right with bans going on with our Eagles, and then we'll just start from there, right? So first off, we're Gangplank banning on blue side. This tells me right off the bat that they have no intention of picking Gangplank. When they take away a Gangplank like this early on, especially on blue side, I typically see Gangplank as a champion that's very, very blue side oriented. Why? Because blue side, especially with these 3 first picks, you think to yourself, well, I don't want to reveal a whole lot of information. And on red side, you capitalize on whatever information is available. So you have B1, then all of a sudden you have 2 response picks to it. And then all of a sudden you have B2, B3, and then B3 and B4. Which makes B3 very, very strong and B4 very, very strong because you have 3 champions worth of information and your whole team comp is pretty much not solidified by any means, but you do have a lot of information of where they want to go with the general outlook on the game. And so these 2 bans become very, very, very important to utilize. You can get flex picks up the wazoo, right? But then again, R1 Gangplank can be very, very strong, but it does tell the enemy team, hey, we are picking Gangplank top. Whereas B3 Gangplank, you're not going to give a whole lot of information away, and it's very hard to counter straight up Gangplank because Gangplank is still going to have that ultimate. You're still going to be able to contest a whole lot of lanes if the Gangplank player is very, very good. And so what this this first ban Gangplank tells me is hybrids can't play it. Chippies probably can play it quite well. Second ban, we're going into Rumble. This is just a meta ban. We're thinking Rumble, we're thinking Morgana, we're thinking Udyr, we're thinking Lee Sin, we're thinking Kai'Sa, although I don't like B1 Kai'Sa for many different reasons, primarily being the fact that it's very easy to counter what Kai'Sa wants to do, which is go in. What other picks might there be? Nidalee. I already said Udyr. There's a lot of different picks, okay? So Senna ban. Senna is a response to Kai'Sa. Again, those response that we're going to talk about like there's Senna, TK, there's Kindred, there's all these different type of picks that if you see it and you B1 it, then all of a sudden, okay, we can pick this. So this tells me they might want to go for a Kai'Sa B1, but whatever. So Senna being taken away tells me they might be looking for a little bit more Kai'Sa. So second ban coming from Maryvolt. Nocturne, I don't really know what this ban is looking to accomplish. Maybe Winthrop has a very, very strong Nocturne comp. Maybe Frost Forest is very good at Nocturne. Maybe they can flex it towards Doxa. But with Senna being taken away, there's no hope of being like a fasting Senna type thing. I know I saw in Ellis's scrims against T1 Academy that they were practicing on T1 Academy's side, Senna Nocturne. Where Senna obviously fasted. Lee Sin ban taken away. It's just again, it's a meta, right? But blue side Lee Sin ban tells me they're looking to pick something else other than that three-way flex. So Lee Sin is very strong because of that fact. So Thresh being taken away here. Thresh is a very fine B1, I think. It also shows a whole lot less information than pretty much any other support pick in the game. It can do many different things. It can play very aggressive with Aftershock. It can play more or less to absorb with Lantern and Guardian, although Lantern did get nerfed. I think Thresh is still very, very good. Lots of different ways to play it out. So B1, so looking like it's a Gwen. Okay, so I haven't seen a whole lot of Gwen play. In professional League of Legends, I don't think it's even allowed to be picked. But it's very, very strong, I think. I don't know a whole lot about it. Whatever they're going to pick, whatever Male is going to respond to this Gwen pick, I'm not going to know anything about it. I'm not going to know how the priority works, how the matchups go, what sort of micro is required to get sort of these pockets or play out wherever it goes, right? But it could go top, jungle, or mid. So that's it's a very, very good pick here because it's going to reveal absolutely nothing. There's a three-way flex going on. But Maryville is going to respond with Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is very self-sufficient again, but an R1 Kai'Sa being matched with Morgana is kind of weird here because Kai'Sa wants to go in, Morgana more or less wants you to come into her. So a little bit of anti-synergy going on. However, Morgana also doesn't see too much going on. Morgana could be going jungle or support. I don't really ever see a Kai'Sa and Morgana, but who knows? They might see a lot of value of this. However, Black Shield doesn't do anything so far. But what we might see is Winthrop respond with some sort of, something that can ultimately give some value towards Morgana, because Morgana doesn't have very much value out of the Black Shield so far. Also very short range, keep in mind.
If it goes into the jungle, I have
win, but we'll see if they're able
Varus,
to pull it off this time around.
I like this pick a lot. Varus has a lot of different ways to play the game. Comet, Hail of Blades, Lethal Tempo, and you're going to get priority no matter what you take because Kai'Sa is very, very bad when it comes to range, and Varus is the complete opposite.
As follow-ups, pretty standard right there. Winthrop.
Team fights happen.
So Nautilus coming in, Varus Nautilus is very good. You can go all in at them, and then you're also matching the aggression of what the Gwen wants to accomplish. I assume Gwen is also going to play like an Akali, but a little bit more bruisery, if that makes any sense, especially with the Shroud. Although there's a lot of similarities between the Shroud and the I don't even know what you want to call it, like you get what I mean though, the from the Gwen. However, we're going to see how it plays out because Nautilus is also going in. Kai'Sa is probably getting a match with a support that wants to go in. If I were to guess, they're probably going to respond to this Nautilus pick. It makes a lot of sense. We'll see. Okay, so Leona, it goes in. It helps go in. And it also matches what Morgana wants, which is setup. Because Morgana doesn't want to have to use her Q to engage. She wants to make sure that her laners be the one to engage. And so Leona goes in. I like this. Right off the bat, what comes to me is something like a Renekton, Morgana. Same thing with a Renekton in Italy. The only difference between Nidalee and Morgana is obviously that Nidalee can jump over walls. Morgana might be a faster clear. I'm pretty sure she is. But again, we're going to need to see a little bit more out of the top and mid before we see what's going to be happening. And how much value you're going to get out of the Morgana. But Morgana is going to get value now because Varus ult and Nautilus, we know 100% that Morgana is very good into Nautilus.
I can help you out there, Raz. It ain't Brationa. She also has a lot.
So Victor ban coming out tells me that they know and they understand
Lot of
that their comp right now
lot of
suffers from heavy range,
non-familial
from long range, and so
so
Victor ban is very good
Maribel's
here. Akali ban coming out. Akali is a flex pick. Okay, so when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking, okay, R4 is a very good opportunity to utilize a flex pick between Spyrex and Chippies, and maybe they might want to respond where Gwen goes. And they might just pick a champion that's good into Gwen. I don't know how good Akali is into Gwen. I assume that she's very good. Gwen is good into tanks, and Akali is very mobile. She can go all over the place. She can get in and out. She can pick her own fights. Very good in the side lane, so I like this ban coming out from Winthrop. Again, I don't know too much about Gwen, so keep in mind I don't really know what's good, what counters her, especially because professional players haven't shown it in any sort of
These two teams can play comfort
tournament.
And
Okay,
the meta, and I love that. But let's catch
I would
up with
expect to
the rest of
see maybe an Udyr ban here coming out from Maryville.
Akali taking off
But
the
they could
table
also be
from the side
something
of
that
Winthrop.
you know,
Victor taking off the table from the side of Maryville. So focus on mid.
something else. I'm
I
sure.
like the Akali ban. That does give us.
Okay, Cinder ban coming out here. I don't quite know what they might look for. Again, it's long range, right? Syndra is definitely long range. It's very self-sufficient. Maybe Dox is a player who's very good at playing the sort of playstyle that comes with
quite good
spellcasters.
So
To me, this says that they
Lucian. Okay, actually, Lucian is a very good ban here. Lucian loses, not hard loses, but loses to these two champions. And right now, they're going to lose priority in bot lane because Varus is going to be able to do what Varus wants to do. Halo Blades, Comet, Lethal Tempo, regardless of what he takes, he's going to be able to get priority. Which means Maryville needs to respond to something where they're going to get priority.
want to go for a
Okay?
mid lane.
Lucian's very good at getting priority, but not against these two champions. And so if you want to get priority, you're going to have to look towards maybe a secret pocket pit. That's something that Dox can play in order to actually contest Lucian. When I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about more range. I'm thinking about, not Vel'Koz or Ziggs, but they could get priority, obviously. But maybe Orianna, but Orianna is more or less just a champion that's looking to scale rather than contest priority.
They are willing to play that into the jungle.
So I like that ban a lot. I like Lucian ban. Here I would just 100% expect on Renekton to pick. Renekton's going to be able to flex it. You could have got Aurelia as well. Okay, so they're going to go with the Renekton. Pantheon, I think, is also fine. Although I don't know how good Pantheon is into Gwen. I would assume it's fine.
It's a great
but I like Renekton. Renekton's going to be flexed, top and mid. And here, you just have to pick Udyr, right? Udyr's going to be able to match tempo with clear speed. Other picks might be
if you're Maryville,
like an AD jungler that can farm pretty fast. Like Graves, but Graves, I think you're looking at something a little bit more, right now anyways, a little more tanky because you need some frontline right now. So Udyr, 100% be taken away. I'm not sure what else is going to be picked here. Sion, okay, Sion. So that means that Gwen is going to go mid, right? So Gwen is going to go mid, Sion's top. What are they going to respond to? Because I think that Renekton is going to go into the Gwen. When I think about how to counter Gwen, I'm thinking about early game aggression that can potentially go all in and melee, right? Okay, so we have our comp set. We have the Camille versus Sion top. I don't know this matchup too heavily, but I do know that Camille will obviously outscale. Now, when you take grasp on Camille, especially if you're very good mechanically with this champion, I don't know how good Chippies is with Camille, but I do think that if she wants to, she can 100% get priority. But the matchup I'm more considerate about is actually the matchup mid. Because again, I don't know what Gwen is. I don't know how good she can be. Bot lane, priority is going to go over to bot lane on side of Winthrop. And so again, this game is going to be heavily impacted by mid. Who knows? Odd Orange might look to gank earlier on with the Renekton. Obviously, they want to play around each other. Leona wants to try and be active. However, Nautilus is going to get those earlier, and those timers are going to go off faster on the side of Winthrop Eagles for the support roam timers because of the priority. So when I'm thinking about who wins this game, I'm thinking if things go even, Winthrop will probably take the cake. But if they're able to, I think Maryville should be able to take something away if they're going to play towards their top side. But historically, Camille's been very hard to capitalize on because you have to play very strong top side. You have to give up a lot bot side. But not only that, when you're thinking about you know,
Zion, they're
what this Maryville comp needs to do, they need to win early. They need
gonna be in
to
a team
make sure
fight
Renekton
heavy
stays
focus.
online.
They have
They need to set up dives top. They have a Scion top.
triple
They have
front
the
line
ability to do some cool things. I know Cloud9 did a lot of cool things with
with
Scion
Nautilus,
a couple seasons ago, so who knows? Maybe they have something in their belt.
Udyr, and the
I think this early
I'm
game is
really
going to be very, very easy
Have
to mess up on the side of
options in the
Maryville,
early.
but I do think that if they're able to
Nice,
get a
but
good game plan
Scion,
around
Nautilus,
top side,
Udyr,
that
those are
Maryville should come
calls.
out with the cake. However, Udyr is very good at counter, matching tempo with Morgana and countering any sort of aggression. Very, very mobile. Very, very tanky, has a lot of damage earlier on, and Scion should be able to match as well, especially because we're taking Corrupting Pot, which I like quite a bit. We're having a lot of sustain, he knows he's going to get targeted. Bot lane and mid.
But we're in the game.
Doran's Blade, okay, so a lot of early game aggression. I know for a fact that something you want to start when you're going Doran's Blade is the E, because you're going to get more autos off if you're going for this. So I like this quite a bit by the start of Doxa when it comes to this. I'm going to quickly mute this though, because I don't know if that is allowed or not. I hope that it is. If it isn't, whatever. But yeah, so early game pathing, I think Morgana's just going to top lane. I do see though that the Predator being taken here is quite interesting. I've never personally seen that, but it's not as much scaling, so they're strictly going here for the early game, which is awesome. Awesome to see. Nothing too out of the ordinary. We got Halo Blaze, Varus, Conquer, Gwen. 5 points going on both sides. We do see that the wards coming out from both sides in that middle brush there just tells me that both sides are being conscientious of any sort of pulling of the waves or any sort of early cheese. I'm going to go into that third bush there and try and catch you off guard. Nothing like that's going to happen so far. Both supports are going to get the sweepers. Something to note, though, that bot laners should be conscientious of whether they want the ADC or the support to take the sweeper. Reason being is because supports actually have a lot more timers to go and ward. However, if you're going to look to be a little more aggressive, go across the map, you do obviously want to be able to negate some vision. And with the sweeper being taken, you're able to do that relatively easily here. All right, so this is telling me right off the bat, instead of both laners going, or sorry, both junglers going to top, I misspoke there. Udyr does actually want to go into bot side because, again, we discussed earlier on, Varus, Nautilus is what they're going to be playing off of in terms of priority. They're going to get priority if they want it, and Morgana should go the other way. However, I do think, though, that Scion is able to contest the wave. The only thing here, especially because Camille didn't take Grasp, the only thing here is that if they fight 2v2, I think it could go, we don't want to coin flip the game right off the bat on the side of Winthrop Eagles, especially because you're going to outscale if you just let things be. So I think choosing a more passive approach to this is very, very good here. Right off the bat, though, I like the fact we're looking at mid, okay? So Doxa is already looking to get some sort of pressure on the wave. I like this quite a lot because instead of, playing it out and just sitting back here like Spyrax is doing, Doxa is looking for any sort of advantage you can get on the wave. So what this tells me right off the bat is Doxa is making sure he's keeping Spyrax in check. I love this. I absolutely love this. I see this happen in solo queue games all the time, and I love it. Okay, so what this tells me is that Doxa is already looking to get a slow push going. He's looking to play aggressive, which means that he's going to try and play for his jungler, or he's going to try and get some sort of early game aggression out like he's doing right now. And you can already see he's got his bone plating on. He's looking for trades. And he's getting Conquer stacked up. Is he going to go in for another trade? Yeah, he's already gotten control of the wave, which is absolutely huge. He shouldn't. Oh my goodness, Gwen does quite a bit of damage. That is absolutely crazy. Okay, we're not gonna mention this quite yet, but it looks like Gwen, if you take Renekton, if you start Q, looks like Gwen does win when it comes to E start versus Q start on the Renekton. Bot lane obviously getting priority. We discussed this already. Even if you miss your Q like that, again, if they would have hit that, it would have been a different story. But this is going to look like a pretty clean. Oh, and they hit the Q. right before the next wave comes. I like this quite a bit. They're looking for that trade, looking for that timer in between these two waves. In between this wave and this wave, you have a lot of space to work with here as the Nautilus. They're positioning and spacing quite well. They're going to try and get this minion and this minion to be missed in terms of experience. To push them off, they see an opportunity. They're going to force that trade. And are they going to come out of this ahead? And it looks like they are. Okay, especially when we're thinking about who's winning. Udyr's pathing into bot, so if by any chance they can try and burn their summoners out, they can obviously look for a dive, okay? What this ultimately means that if these trades are going even close to being even and they're not so far, we can try and set up a dive, which is absolutely huge. Especially when we're thinking about, early game comp, relatively later game comp. Even though both shine, we're picking these champions that can both contest lane and potentially outscale. Although the question of whether Varus outscales Kai'Sa is very, very up in the air, and whatnot. Now here mid lane, we're seeing that Doxa did hard shove the second wave, which tells me his base, his third wave base, slow push, shove isn't going to be on the table. He can't look for a cheater recall unless he hard shoves this next wave, but probably won't happen because Renekton's going to hit 3 very, very soon. First 2 minions he's going to level 3. And that's when Renekton, I do believe, should take the lane back into control. Okay? Which is why I think ultimately Doxa should have looked to slow things down on wave 1 and potentially wave 2. Because if Renekton's able to get level 3 at this point, because he's already winning, he was winning quite hard as you were seeing. If he just slowed down wave 1, slowed down wave 2, and then looked for that cheater recall, he could have come back to lane. First of all, dominating, Renekton, which is absolutely insane. But then coming back to lane with an extra 450-ish gold, right? But he's hitting level 3 anyways, which I think is a mistake on a part of Renekton. Because you can see, if you look at your minimap right here, Renekton actually looks to engage, I think. Yeah, Renekton E's onto the Gwen, and I don't know how he was using his abilities, but I think that if you have the ability to contest the wave and get to level 3 as fast as possible, especially if you have Ignite versus TP, I think that if this is happening, something's really messed up. Because look, he just needs to kill this one minion, right? He just needs to kill this one minion, and he's gonna hit level 3. I don't know what his abilities look like right now, but if he was looking and conscientiously trying to get that level 3, I think this lane would be much, much different. Because, and again, really just to make sure, for clarity purposes, he has to kill a melee minion here, because that ranged minion is not going to do it, right? So he kills 2 ranged or 1 melee is basically what he needs. Also tells me that Doxa actually denied 1 creep worth of experience, which is huge. So why is Spyrex backing up here? I like this quite a bit. It's because look at bot lane. Bot lane is now active. They're looking for that cheater recall off the 3rd wave. They're pushing, and then they're going to look for the base. Nautilus is coming up, which tells Renekton, hey, you got to back up. Now, what does this do? Now he's going to be on the back end. So if this is the case, I do actually like the fact that Dox looked to shove that in. It's just that there was that small window where Dox's life could have just been over. The whole lane could have been up in flames, just because of one small misclick or super, I don't know, tiny timers. We're talking, getting level 3 first. So this roam doesn't accomplish anything. There's no way Renekton's ever going to step up. Nautilus would do much better if he just looked to base. All he really needs to do is be in fog. If Udyr is scared that Morgana was pathing into him, Udyr would have just, Nautilus could have just been in fog, and then it just would have been fine. I like this base quite a little bit. This wave is going to freeze if Renekton doesn't look for a base, but it looks like he is. Not. But this is just foolish. I mean, you have 1 ward right here, as Spyrex. You have 1 ward. You're looking to get up to the wave. You really need to ward here, because if there's a 2v2 happening, if you're not going to, because you're a breath away from dying here, you're going to hit level 4, which is quite good. Both champions level 4. Morgana does need to come, obviously, to help Spyrex out here. But if a 2v2 is forced, chances are they're going to lose. And then it's going to happen all over again. Doxa is just going to look for a base, which I think is very, very good. Again, Renekton is now forced 100% because if anything happens beyond this point, something bad's going to happen. So all in all, the Spirax, the Renekton pick coming out here is just really not doing anything so far. When you think about that R4 pick, you want something that's actually going to be useful here. However, if it's just, you know, it's a rough day or whatever, it could be it, right? Up in top lane, nothing too big is happening. Camille is looking for that first base. He's going to come back with the Sheen and Pink ward, and now Sion's just going to look to maybe get a base here as that wave is frozen in front of his tower. We haven't seen anything too much top lane, but I do suspect that they might look for a play either bot side with the TP coming out from Chippies, or they're going to look for a play and dive on top. But I don't think it's the best idea, especially with a Sion in the game. Oh, Doxa did not look to base here. Why? I have absolutely no idea. You have TP up, but Renekton is now going to get not a free base off by any means. But if you just base his Doxa here and you match tempo, you're going to come back with more gold spent. You're still going to have TP. And again, who are we playing as? We're playing as Renekton. We got to remember that, right? It looks like they are going to look to make a play on Doxa, and I love this idea so much. I think this is probably the best idea you could look for as the Morgana. You know, try and make a play here. The only thing is obviously Doxa has W up. Actually, you know what? I don't like this idea at all. Because the wave's coming in, Doxa can just back up if he wants to. And as soon as Spirax uses W here, the play is over. It's just that Doxa has W and Flash. So right now, as the Morgana, you're giving up so much tempo for pretty much nothing. And right now, you're going to lose camps. You can't contest this right now because Balling can move. This play isn't going to do absolutely anything. In fact, you might lose minions as Kaisa. But Morgana is still wasting time. And so right now, Udyr is quite far ahead. Frost Forest is super far ahead. Top lane's even. He just finished, Sion just finished, what's it called? Oh, I don't know why I don't know that item. Oh, he's emoting. Oh my goodness. Doxa really knows what he wants. Wave still pushing into him. You obviously, if the champion was a little bit more squishier, you could look for a play under tower, you know, slow push this wave, continue to build up that wave, and then shove. And then even if you trade kills, that Renekton's still gonna, you know, be like 2 levels down. So that play is not gonna be looked for. Instead, Udyr's just going to go to his Rubberman camps, play the passive game, and you'll see that these two items, you know, maybe that the option for Doxa just to wait until he was able to buy. Why is this name escaping me? I really don't like the fact that I can't remember what this name is. I absolutely should, and I apologize to whoever's watching this. It's going to come back to me eventually. It's 800 gold. It's not 800 gold. It's 1,000 gold, I think. Oh my goodness, whatever. So, back to the game anyways. Udyr's looking for a play here. Now, if they realized that Morgana had started bot side and path into top, the rubber band camps would have been such that, especially after hanging around doing all this play, it would have been easy to actually see that Morgana had to go back to her camps, especially because she only had 29 CS, which means she took one, either a ward or a CS minion or whatever. She has to still do her camps over here because she full cleared before. She's going to go like this. What does this tell Udyr? Well, Udyr, if he wants to, he doesn't have any camps, right? So he can just go do Dragon. And because they're looking to fight right away, communication is, hey, we're fighting. Let's go straight bot. Udyr is going to come in, and we're going to be able to win pretty much the game, actually, off this play. Because the one job this bot lane had on the side of Maryville was to just not do too much. You know, we're playing Morgana. We have to play around Morgana. If we don't play around Morgana, stuff like this is going to happen. Especially when you start opposite sides. So Morgana started here. Morgana started bot side. Udyr started top side. And so Frost Forest was going to look for Dragon, I assume. But then, you know, they forced a fight. With the wave coming into them, mind you, if you look right here, the wave is pushing into them. So Shady and all these guys, Shady and Evan, they tried to fight in the wave with the cannon. So not only are you going to take aggression from a Halo Blaze Varus, but you're also going to, they're going to potentially get the aggression of the Udyr. And in this case, they absolutely do. So if they look for that trade, Saskia gets out, Udyr comes in, and bot lane is pretty much over right now because they're going to lose 2 waves, right? They're going to lose this wave, and yeah, they're just going to lose that wave. So you're going to lose like 1.5 waves. But the wave is going to ultimately bounce back into them. Down flashes. Yeah, they're both down flashes. And, Varus is about to hit 6 in about 2 or 3 waves. So unfortunately, they're not going to get that kill. If they would have gotten that kill, this would have been a little bit more worth. However, they went for the greedier coin flip play, and they're going to lose because of it. They're going to lose only because of it. Morgana, however, did get back in terms of the CS department, in terms of all that, especially after, making the plays over, trying to make a play mid, right? So far, nothing happening top. CS is pretty much even, but, Camille's never really going to kill Sion. And at this point, you're probably looking to make plays towards bot. Now, Maryville still have the opportunity to try and make plays bot, obviously, right? If Camille still has the ability to push in waves, slow push, and then shove or whatever, build tempo for a dive bot, you're still going to be able to do that, right? You can still try and make some plays bot side, but right now, we're seeing a huge jungle diff. Why? Udyr's level 7, Auto Orange is Morgana is level 5, not level 6 yet. So if stuff is forced here, they're just gonna hard lose. I'm not really sure why they're contesting this early drag. They're coin flipping this game. Off of the first drag of the game, mind you, they're supposed to be winning earlier on, and so forcing that may have been in their game plan the only thing they could have done. Which in that case, they need to reassess their game plan and tell themselves, hey, we messed up draft. Let's go into game 2 with a different idea, because at this point, they pretty much, they're going to lose. They're going to lose this second, they're going to lose this rift, first of all, but they're going to lose the second drag. They're going to start giving up leads where they shouldn't at all. By the way, this is started way too early. These rotations coming in from bot is just super, super early. You're banking on a lot of different things happening here. Like if they don't know that, like if there's a ward somewhere that you may have missed, there's too much variability here. I think this rift is very, very bad to take in. Wait a minute. They're actually gonna steal it, right? I love the fact that this is stolen. This keeps them in check. I love that 100%. But you could imagine that if they would have taken that rift, the game probably just would have been over. Rift is a very, very strong win con for this Maryville team. They really do want to get this, because if they're able to get this, and just as I say that, Leona needs to hit that. Leona needs to hit that, right? And we're going to force another play around Rift. Camille is lagging behind quite a bit. There's not going to burn the CP here, but it looks like there's going to be a fight. Sion's going to be able to take away the Leona. And now we're going to have to burn Flash on the side of the Morgana here. But after this, you're just thinking to yourself, okay, well, how do we get back in this game? We're about to be 0-3 as Kaisa here. There's not too much you can do at this point. You pretty much threw the game trying to get that rift, and if you really cared about it that much, maybe just go for it and then flash out or burn a flash here. But after this play, I think this game is pretty much over. Okay, so goods, bads, because at this point I'm going to end looking at the game. I think the game is completely over. It's in favor of Winthrop, and to prove the point, I think the only opportunity if I'm looking at Maryville to win this game is to try and throw everything they have as soon as Leona has ult up next, and Morgana is able to maybe or Renekton or something, just because Renekton took Ignite. Hopefully, maybe we can see something where Camille maybe looks to get a play in, but Chippy's. Okay, so they did end up getting a play, but I don't know where it was. Looks like weak side. Let's see here. When did Camille get a play? So just a poor rotation is coming in from Winthrop. They're just going to get a quick death coming in from Vars. He's not going to burn heal. He's going to look for some damage, but this ultimately shows that now, okay, wait a minute, Chippies doesn't have TP. The only target the only member of their team that can do anything is going to be very, very inactive for the next 3 minutes. Or sorry, for the next 300 and roughly 30 seconds, I think it is, at 10 minutes. It could be around by that, could be around 40-ish seconds. But again, coming in around 6 minutes, that's roughly how much time you have until, Camille can look to TP and whatnot. But I think at this point, the game is pretty much over. And to quickly see the end effect, we're going to go into 92. Gwen is still ahead. 15-5, 3 drags. It looks like there was a drag fight. And it looks like the game's over at this point. So, goods, bads, what went wrong, what could have went better. Compositionally, draft-wise, that R4 pick needed to be something that could match the Gwen. So at this point, if you're thinking to yourself from Maryville's point of view, what do we need to do? It's reassess how they deal with the Gwen, and it's also try and make sure that we get Chippies in the game because Chippy is performing. Who else is performing the series? Because again, series have their own meta in terms of mindset, in terms of mentality, in terms of how you're playing on any given day. You have to consider what champions you're picking with the comfortability on the champions, as well as how well you're playing on any given day. So if players are still mentally in it, if they're still talking to each other quite a bit, if nothing's really in a dire state, so to speak, in terms of the comms, the communications, in terms of whatever Discord call you're a part of, if it's still going, cool. Nothing changes. It's the first game of the series. It could go either way. But if I'm thinking to myself, what went wrong in terms of Maryville? It was you have an early game comp, you have a Morgana that doesn't do a whole lot in this composition. You actually, they drafted into you with that B3 Nautilus. But consider maybe something else when it comes to blue side. Maybe they have a better blue side draft. We're going to see. But again, I do think, though, that Sparks was the main reason why they end up losing this game, because now Morgana was on the back end. Udyr had a lot more safety and a lot more... not safety per se, but a lot more opportunities because the lanes were winning. You have Sion, who was never really targeted at all in the early stages of the game. Camille was just looking to get slow push, hard shove into now I'm in the base, get a Sheen, or maybe it wasn't that, but it was something along those lines. Just really, really passive. And when you're playing against a comp that obviously outscales you, you can't play passive, especially if you're going to take Ignite on Renekton. And then on the side of Maryville's bot lane, they did throw a little bit when it came to misunderstanding where the Udyr was, especially because they looked to go in opposite ends. So they looked to path opposite to each other, which means Udyr started top, Morgana started bot, and we could have seen this, especially if you look, and I'm going to quickly look at this point, and I will end it off at that point. But if you look earlier game, roughly when Udyr showed mid, you could see that he either had one buff or one buff was longer than the other, had more time on it. And that tells you everything you need to know about where Udyr started. Quickly go on. Okay, so this is at the point where Spyrex needs help. Udyr comes and helps counter this because Morgana really needs to get herself mid. I don't know how many times Spyrex needs to have this happen to him in terms of how the Maryville team likes to draft, so maybe this is something they took into account when they drafted this. Maybe Morgana needed to help him, but Doxa gets in. At this point, if you're Odd Orange, okay, you can't really look at what he's going on, but at this point, what Odd Orange needs to do is ping or just press on Udyr, and then that can tell you right away he started topside. Now this tells our bot lane, and you can communicate to the bot lane, especially when it comes down to this timer. As Morgana looks to path upwards, and Udyr is now pathing towards bot side. You can tell them, hey guys, you need to back up. If you guys can look for a reset, please do so. Udyr's coming bot side, 100%. And you might be thinking to yourself, okay, as Morgana comes over here, Raptors are gone. Does Morgana ever ping? Morgana doesn't ping, but instead just does nothing. Maybe there's communications, but again, make sure that you know where they started and what that means for cross-map plays, because Morgana is now strong side top and Udyr is now strong side bot. So that's me it. And on the side of Maryville, Spyrex and their bot lane made a little bit of a misplay here. That's me all for Game 1. Follow up in Game 2 and Game 3 and whatnot. Hopefully a little bit less time spent towards explaining, but that's me it for now. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you learned something. Cheers.